for him to go on the book tour so that he can answer the questions of the American people. Security risk perhaps may be true, according to what Abby has said and what his office is saying.
Who would be the security risk, though?
I don't know.
Who would be the security risk?
Wait a minute. The book is about.
Who is the risk?
Scott,
Can we just admit who the risk is?
The book is about.
In this episode earlier this week, CNN's Newsnight brought Scott Jennings back on the panel, and let's be real, whenever he's there, you know fireworks are coming. The main topic was the continuing resolution to keep the government running. But instead of showing strength, Democrats once again managed to look weak, divided, and completely leaderless. And just to make things more entertaining, they brought in Ana Navarro, who never misses a chance to deliver dramatic lines that collapse under their own weight. Against all that noise, Jennings stood out as the one person actually making sense, cutting through their spin, exposing the contradictions, and knocking down every flimsy talking point tossed his way. So sit tight.
This is whether Democrats should work with the GOP or stop the Republican agenda. But what I want you to look at here is how this has changed. And back in 2017, 74% of Democrats said they should work with the GOP. Now, 57% say they should stop the Republican agenda. There has been a complete shift in the mindset of the Democratic Party. They want resistance. They want a Tea Party.
100%. And what you just said, we should listen to the people. You said as congressman, am I correct in saying that? You just said we should listen to the people. Why aren't they listening to the people? There's no leadership. There's nobody doing anything. And what we saw, honestly, was a cave. Yet again, another example with Schumer saying, I don't want the smoke. And we're asking, they are begging. She just showed the dramatic shift. I don't understand what the problem is. Why is there nobody, for lack of a better word, with some cojones to stand up and say, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Well,
if you know we need it, and I'm not trying to give you the smoke, but if you know we need it, why is it not happening?
Look, we need to throw a punch. That's correct. And the American people want us to throw a punch.
By the way, political punch, not literal punch, because then they're going to say stuff.
Now, of course, the proposals that they're bringing are horrendous enough for us to do that, and we should do that.
What's horrendous about the CR? It continues funding the government at Biden.
Horrendous about the CR is that it is a cut.
No.
Yes, it is.
No.
If you do not consider the cost of doing business, if you do not consider that the cost of living, for example, has gone up, that everything has gone up.
Now you're changing. It's not a cut. You're being dishonest.
It's a cut.
It's not a cut.
It's a cut.
It's continuing
funding
the government at the same levels. It's not a cut. You voted to shut down the government. You voted to lay off every veteran in the federal government. You're making a passionate plea for why Democrats didn't shut down the government. And now Chuck Schumer can't even have a book tour because Democrats are so enraged that the government was. And I'm just confused because last week I was told that people going and expressing their First Amendment rights was part of their democratic and civic duty. And now Chuck Schumer can't even have a book party with Democrats over it. I'm trying to decide.
Scott, I actually think that Democrats are in agreement with you in the sense that they probably think Chuck Schumer should.
Yes,
to
exactly.
Carrie's point, take the smoke.
2 weeks ago, he was attacking.
Show up and take he should show up and take the L is what I'm saying. No one's saying he can't have it, Scott. He can do whatever he chose to. But once again, another example of him deciding to hide.
You know what? I'll admit this up front. Maybe I should have done a little more homework before diving in, but I have no idea who that guy even was on the panel. Congressman, analyst, just some random suit they dragged into the studio. Whoever he was, he clearly had no clue what he was talking about. He starts tossing around phrases like cost of living and cost of doing business, as if those buzzwords somehow explain a continuing resolution. Spoiler alert, they don't. A CR has nothing to do with your grocery bill or the price of gas. It's literally just keeping the government's lights on at the same spending level so it doesn't shut down. That's it. So, when this guy starts rambling, it feels like listening to somebody who skimmed an Econ 101 textbook and decided he was ready for prime time. Now, to be fair, if we're getting technical, yes, you could call the continuing resolution a cut, but only in the loosest, most roundabout way. Why? Because they trimmed about $7 billion from things like IRS enforcement, housing and urban development, and a couple of community development earmarks. $7 billion sounds like a lot until you realize the federal budget runs in the trillions. In the big picture, it's basically pocket change. It's the equivalent of cutting a nickel out of a $100 bill and bragging about how much you saved. In other words, Government business as usual, funded through September. Nothing new, nothing bold, just the same old kicking the can down the road. So, no, I'm not thrilled about it, but let's be real. At least the government didn't slam shut altogether. Small mercies, I guess. And then right when you think the conversation couldn't get dumber, they whip out a poll like it's the holy grail of political insight. Well, 57% of Democrats said this and 74% used to say that. Who cares? What is the point of polls like this? If tomorrow 90% of people answered that Democrats should hold hands with Republicans and sing, Kumbaya, do you really think the party would suddenly change course? Absolutely not. These polls are meaningless. They're a filler exercise to give pundits something to wave around on TV, but in terms of actual policy, zero impact. No one is changing strategy because a pollster called 1-200 people on a Tuesday night. And then Carrie Champion jumps in with the whole they should listen to the people. Why aren't they listening to the people's spiel? And I almost spit my coffee out. When exactly have Democrats ever listened to the people? This is the same party that campaigns on bold promises every 2 years only to ghost their voters the second they get into office. They don't listen. They don't deliver. And yet here we are pretending that if they just read the polls a little harder, everything would change. Please. The real cherry on top. Ana Navarro, bless her heart, telling everyone, oh, it's a political punch, not a literal punch. Ana, with all due respect, stop. Just stop. First of all, nobody thought Chuck Schumer was literally going to walk out of the Senate chamber, swinging fists. Second, the irony of you lecturing anyone about taking things out of context is comedy gold. Taking things out of context was practically invented on The View. That show has spun more nonsense into viral outrage clips than I can even count. Remember when Joe Rogan joked about dragons and suddenly you all treated it like a manifesto? Or how many times has the network forced you or your co-hosts to walk back some wild claim because legal was worried about getting sued? Exactly. So yeah, between the nonsense about cost of living, the useless polling, and Navarro's desperate attempt to sanitize the word punch, this panel was a circus. Anyway, let's see what other gems these Mensa
I would love for him to go on the book tour so that he can answer the questions of the American people. Security risk perhaps may be true, according to what Abby has said and what his office is saying.
Who would be the security risk, though?
I don't know.
Who would be the security risk?
Wait a minute. The book is about.
Who is the risk?
Scott,
Can we just admit who the risk is?
The book is about anti-Semitism, right? So I guess somebody that might be anti-Semitic might target
the left.
Chuck Schumer. Tomorrow,
Yes.
he's supposed to be on The View. I think that hasn't changed. He'll be on the hot seat there. I also think he should go on this book tour, because if we are talking about Republicans who don't have the cojones, to quote you, to show up to actually even do town halls, even though there were town halls of constituents all over the country this weekend begging the Republicans to show up and answer questions. They refused to do so. But so I think Chuck Schumer should face the music, should, as harsh as it may be, should answer people and should portray some leadership and confidence, which he has done in the past.
Okay, I think Chuck Schumer was the adult in the room. He did what the American people want. The American people want government. They want people to get deals done. And the fact of the matter is people don't want to punch. The fact of the matter is people are actually excited. NBC News on Meet the Press, they reported their polling found the highest level of enthusiasm and the country going in the right direction since 2004. 20 years. So President Trump is doing exactly what he campaigned on. That's why 76% of people said, according to CBS polling, agreed with his State of the Union speech, which included a lot of independents and a lot of Democrats who were watching that speech.
Carrie.
That is why...
Carrie, my namesake, Carrie.
Yes, my fellow Carrie.
You do know what you're saying is incorrect. I don't care about the polling.
Talk to
The
NBC.
American, I don't care what NBC is saying. I can talk to the people on the streets. Are you on the streets? Are you talking
Absolutely,
to people
I am.
in real life situations who have everyday jobs who are saying they're unhappy? You know very well.
Are you saying
that those-
CNN
Wait, so
polling
they're
is
saying-
wrong?
they're saying
No.
that-
What I'm saying
that
is,
Joe
don't do
Biden
me.
under-
Don't try me today, Scotty.
We
what
put
I'm
out a-
saying
we
to
put
you
out a
is that
CNN
you
poll.
know,
Are you saying
by
our
and
polling
large,
is wrong?
No, what I'm saying to you is that you know, by and large, people are not happy. This
No,
is
they're
not,
very happy. They're unhappy with Democrats.
I can't just skip over Scott's question because honestly it was the only one that cut straight to the heart of the issue. He asked something simple. If Chuck Schumer were to go on this big book tour of his, Who exactly would be the security risk? Republicans? No, of course not. And that's where the whole panel just froze. Nobody wanted to touch it. Because the uncomfortable truth is that Schumer's biggest concern isn't conservatives, isn't mega rallies, isn't some right-wing mob storming his signing table. The problem is his own base. His own voters are the ones he's nervous about. And yet, notice how not a single person sitting at that table wanted to actually acknowledge that out loud. The silence was deafening. That silence tells you everything you need to know. Every one of them knows that when the left gets angry, they're unpredictable. They're volatile. And yes, they can be violent, even against their own. Think about that for a second. We're talking about Chuck Schumer here, one of the most powerful politicians in Washington, a guy with some of the most advanced security teams money can buy. And yet he still doesn't feel safe hitting the road to sell his book. Why? Because his own supporters might turn on him. That's not just awkward politics. That's dangerous. And then of course, Ana Navarro, the panel's self-proclaimed voice of reason, tries to bail him out with this excuse about the book being on anti-Semitism. Oh, maybe that's why there's a risk. Really, Ana? That's the spin? Because if that's the case, let's be honest. Who exactly is out there screaming from the river to the sea? Who's marching with pro-Palestine slogans that cross the line into flat-out anti-Semitism? Those aren't Republicans. Those aren't conservatives. Those are the same far-left voices Democrats have been coddling for years. Ana knows it. The panel knows it. And the audience at home knows it. But instead of admitting it, they try to act like it's just some mysterious vague threat floating in the air. And then she drops another gem about Republicans supposedly refusing to answer questions. Since when? Seriously, what is she even talking about? I watched that and had to rewind just to make sure I didn't mishear her. Nope, that's exactly what she said. And honestly, at this point, I imagine even the other panelists just tune her out. It's like white noise every time she opens her mouth. She's there to fill airtime, not to make sense. But here's the bigger picture. The Democrats are kneed in their own mess. Schumer's hiding from his own people. The party can't sell a simple continuing resolution without looking like they have caved. And their so-called strategists are flailing on national TV trying to cover up the obvious, and yet they still want us to believe they're the adults in the room. Please. So, let me put it back to you. What do you make of this? Do you think Schumer's really worried about Republicans? Or do you think he's running from the same angry progressives that his party has spent years whipping up? Drop your thoughts in the comments because I want to hear what you think. And hey, if you enjoy watching Scott Jennings outclass every single person they sit him next to on these panels, you're in luck. I've got a whole lineup of videos that show him being the sharpest guy in the room. One of them should be popping up on your screen right about now. Go check it out. And as always, thank you. Seriously, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you taking a few minutes of your day to hang out here. You're the best viewers on the planet, hands down. Never forget, you're valued, you're appreciated.